Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here. We're playing Railway Empire, the Civil War chapter of the game, and it's very much has been, if you've been watching, it covers a bit of the history of the American Civil War and why railways and infrastructure were so important to that war. And this is a very superficial maybe, but a very good primer on that. And I'm playing it with the advice of my friend IKB. Say hi to everyone, IKB.
Hi everyone.
And so he will be giving me advice as we play along and maybe answering some questions. If you have questions, you can type them below, and either I will probably answer them immediately, but I can know to bring them up in next episodes, because if you have them, probably somebody else will. So we'll be doing that. Now, we have 3 new tasks. Deliver 12 weapon loads to Knoxville, 12 weapon loads to Jackson, and transport 20,000 passengers from induction centers up here they were talking about. So, okay, now we also have some sort of gamey aspects here of want to connect the cotton bonus. So, connection bonus, that'll give us more money. So we'll just do this. We'll throw on a cheap station here. We don't know where was the cotton. Where would the cotton go? Just a second. Just trying to see if there's a. Oh, actually, if we click here, this will give us a overview. Looking to see if there's a cloth. Okay, up to St. Louis is where, or over to Memphis. Okay, just wanting to know if we're going to attach in one direction. No, we don't want to do here. We want to come. Okay, let's see if we can come over here. Back this up a bit, because we may make sort of a Y connection eventually, but we'll start with just to get the bonus. Oh, I'm never sure about this. Okay, so if we're going that way. Do that, and that gets our $300,000 bonus, so that will at least just get us more working capital. Now, breakdown bad condition, but we have a repair facility there, so hopefully that'll get repaired. Now we're already moving weapons to Nashville, but we need to get them to Knoxville and Jackson, which are Jackson and Knoxville. Okay, well, now let's see what I've done here. Okay, well, let's see if we can correct this. Could have looked at this a little bit better. Let's expand this, and okay, that sort of went away. Let's get this here. Is this the right path? Okay, but what we want to come here and do is oh, I've got to look again. Okay, this to that. Yeah. I think I'm getting this right. we're just going to have to kill this line here. Do that. Maybe we can do this. I don't know. We won't worry about that for the moment because we need to get what we need to connect over to here. And they have a decent sized railway. Well, it's just a. Oh, we've got mountains in the way, don't we? Ooh, we can't go through the Confederate territory. Oh, man.
Right. Where's the you head sort of northeast?
Well, see, yeah, what I'm going to do is see the cost of connecting that up. Okay, that would cost us $1 million. So that doesn't sound like a good plan. So maybe that other little thing we just did was counterproductive. Or if we come up here, I'm just doing this quickly. Yeah, that's going to be a lot cheaper than trying to dig tunnels through all of that. Okay. We don't have a time cost for tunnels, but let's trash this and let's plan this out a little better. Okay, so that was adding to that was a waste. That was a waste of time. Oh well. I didn't look at the geography. But now we will. Okay. So we're going to expand this. We're going to spend the 60,000 and expand this. And now we're going to come over here and do that. But let's come here. Come up through this gap. As you can tell, I'm not from this part of the world, so it is not like, oh yeah, I know just how they would do it because I don't live here. Going that way, I guess. Let's just build that. Okay, did we do that right? No, we did not. We messed that one up. Okay, well, we'll have not a very elegant solution to this, but it'll work. Oh.
It avoids the steepest hills. That's the railway definition of elegant.
No, I'm talking more that this is on the wrong side here.
Yeah.
What we'll just go to a one width thing here. Oh, let's start over again. Instead of keeping it a double track all the way, it'll at very near the station, it'll go to a single width, and then split apart so that. But now I get your idea of avoiding hills, yeah, because it's just coming in on the wrong side. And connect the two up here. No, okay. Now we can do this right there like that. Okay. So a little less elegant than I would like because we're going to come from here and oh man, there we go. So sort of work as our points thing there, but not as elegant. Okay, so now we need to get weapons there from Louisville. So we're going to set up a train to here, and we're going to specify not that they move chemicals, but weapons only, And we're going to see if we can use that track that's mostly empty. Is that connected well? Yes. Okay, so that'll get them around through to here. We want to do that, and we're going, since it's fairly long, maybe some hills. Let's get a stoker. Do they work well together? Yes. Okay, they work well together. So we're going to do that. It's going to be a weapons train. And now, if I remember correctly, we need to do another train from Chicago through to Knoxville. Yeah, okay, that won't, well, not that they would, because there's meat down there. We'll just emphasize that. We'll see if it's going to run passengers. And since this is a passenger thing and we're going to see about upgrading it as soon as we get the next train, we're going to go with just a Philadelphia for now. And they will have a conductor because of passengers. Well, these are all more well, we're going to use him. The others increase the amount of mail, or profit from mail at least. Okay, so that got that up and going. Okay, at least it's not full of mail. It's, the mail's going is fine, so long as we're getting passengers down there. Okay, so that's...
The president is worried that your trains will be attacked repeatedly in the future. The Confederates want to sabotage our supplies.
Okay, well, we are putting some guards on it. Okay, well, they don't particularly overly want wood, so we're gonna, at least on our initial plans here. Oh, is this a... Okay, well, we're gonna, before we start doing the railway proper, we're gonna come down here and upgrade the station. Do that first. Okay, so we got 2 lanes. I like that better. Yes, I had a model train as a kid, and loved playing with it. So this is sort of like that. I've been enjoying this game, designing. Let's okay, let's just there we go. Let's take a look at like this. See the terrain. Okay, so we're gonna end up coming sort of higher up, so we want to maybe come up through here, I guess. So we delete that. Yes, this looks much more train layout to me. Yeah, we are sort of losing a little height, but it's sort of a long sweep. Look at where. Okay. Wrong side. There we go. That's there. Let's see if we can sort of reduce some of the cost down, maybe. Without making it too steep. Is 3% grade considered high or not much?
I'm not sure how much they're abstracting it
Right.
in this, but
I think about the highest I've seen practical that will run is like 11% or something like that.
Yeah, I'm used to gradients being measured as 1 in something, so I'm just going to check what that converts to. Yeah, sort of steepest, absolute steepest gradient you can get. I've got here with a quick look referenced for pure for your adhesion work railways with no like fancy extra bits. Is the absolute max is 13.8%, and that's some tramways in Lisbon in Portugal.
Right. So 2% is significant, or 3%, but it's not overly harsh on the system.
Not overly harsh.
Right.
It's
Well, just I'm looking at the cost of either digging a lot more trenches or trying to keep this somewhat, because we're going to build a second one right next to it, which is going to be about the same price. So I'm just, because I want to dual track this. So cost is a consideration as opposed to just pure what would be ultimately the best long term without considering the cost. Okay. Because that's going to eat up, not huge amounts, but I'm going to eat up money. We'll do that to get that connected. And yeah, pay for that. And over here, get that connected. And we're going to put in some signals to keep it flowing that way. And the other that way. Okay, and yes, we need a water tower. I think long journey, so we'll throw that in, but not near us because we don't want them to be moving with some speed when they start going up or downhill. So we'll do that. And what we're going to do here is come and get the Louisville to Nashville. That should be somewhere here. Louisville to Nashville. Is this the one that we okay, yeah, the guns are taking other stuff back. We're going to change its location. And get rid of Jacksonville. So it'll continue back to there. Drink. Oh, what? I messed that up, didn't I? Jacksonville, I deleted the wrong one. There we go. That's it. So now we'll be bringing weapons up through to there. And we're going to run another train from Chicago, which were, if I remember correctly, from their induction center to there. We're going to make sure we're not, those soldiers would love boots. I'm gonna make sure we're focusing on passengers. And again, we're going to just go with this guy because we're going to sell this guy, and we're going to go with a conductor. Even though it's more male, we'll still do a conductor. Because what I'm hoping to do is, it's only going to cost another 100 points once we get that up. Go to this Rensselaer train, which will be a lot faster and is set up for express or passenger type mail in use. So that's what we want to convert over once we can. Yeah, 63. Okay, we're way ahead of schedule. So passengers are representing moving troops around. They're just going to the big warehouse. Where's the weapons? Yeah. Taylor's in Nashville. Do we want a uniform shop? Okay, it'll probably make us some money. Let's come here and ride along here with them. Not for long, maybe, but... Oh, oh, look at they're wearing uniforms. People. You normally don't have that in the other things. They've actually gone to the detail of the Civil War episode having the random people walking around the town in uniforms. That's just cool.
Sometimes I find the enthusiasm with which our compatriots invest in the war abominable. But if they didn't, we would be doomed.
Back over our train. Blowing the whistles, we come to the bend in the rails. Make sure that they really hear us coming. There was recently a death of a fairly minor, but on the radio, you know, conservative radio personality. He was hit by a train. This happened within the month ago, in Texas, I believe. Hit by the train. He was an avid runner, and my guess is it was the fault of his headphones. I'm just guessing. I hadn't heard that. But I'm guessing why he didn't hear a modern train coming down on something enough to get hit by it is he had headphones on. But that's just a guess. Maybe not quite as good of having your own railway set to play with, but this is cool. At least I think it is. Let's see down here where we're at.
Yes, even without headphones in, a train travelling quite slowly with the wind blowing away from it can be surprisingly stealthy when it wants to be.
Yeah, that could be. I just
can
sort
say
of
that from personal experience.
Okay, and well, now you of course spend a lot more time on the tracks because I have to really wonder. You know, I didn't read up on it, just what he was doing, but he was jogging at the time when it happened. So either he was crossing the tracks, or somehow you really can't run along, you know, on the railroad tracks themselves just because, you know, all the wooden pieces, but running along next to them or something maybe that was just, you know, close enough to get hit, you know, sort of a brush aside hit or something, but enough to, you know, flip you over and break your neck and, you know, kill you. Doesn't take a whole lot to do that.
Easily, yes.
Yeah, you know, so if you're, you know, just even, you know, you can break your neck tripping and falling, you know, I mean, that's quite possible. But so I'm just sort of figuring that, yeah, probably either it was just, he just happened to be crossing at the time, or was running along and didn't hear the train. And I figured headphones, because I figured that's what a runner is doing headphones. Okay, well, we'll get out of that, but I wanted to ride along a little bit with this stuff. Okay, so, oh, and we have it. Okay, good. We can't do too much of that, or we start to run out of things. Okay, let's come up to the Chicago, Jacksonville train, and we're going to do the upgrade to faster trains. We get some back for it. Well, this will supposedly help get more passengers, so I presume that will also help. With soldiers as well. And so we'll do dining cars for both of those. So they'll move much faster. Oh, we can also throw on a conductor. So we're coming down to Jackson and over. Oh, well, that's on the Louisville, but Knoxville, Jackson. That's yeah, and yeah. Make sure we get it on the important railways. Express line. Okay. They'll want a faster engine, and this other express line will want a faster engine. They want to stay express. Okay, well, Louisville Railroad's back speed. Okay. What we need to also look at, because we got plenty of time probably, but I think if we see about increasing size for our weapons industry, what would that cost us? 500,000. Okay, we have that, and we're going to take that, and so hopefully we are producing enough chemicals to supply that. Keep that going. We're producing enough or moving enough passengers easy as this is. Though we do have 2 years. Well, it's the end of a little over a year. Railroad at full steam. Okay, good.
Speed record again.
Yeah. You can tweak that by putting both a engineer that has speed bonuses and a stoker that has speed bonuses on a. You can see here some have speed bonuses, and we'll like here, and others have maintenance bonuses, and that they don't require as much maintenance. Which, if you don't need to maintain things, it keeps as many maintenance stops. It makes them go overall faster.
Have arrived in Knoxville and Jackson. That is a massive boost for our troops. Granted, I'm profiting from the war, but that's the way the Treasury bill business is. Our side is winning thanks to this, and there's also a little something in it for me.
Okay, do we want way down in the south? No, we were not going to spend the money on that. That might be a good deal. Did spend it on here, but we are going to profit much more directly from this one. I think increasing weapons output is useful. Louisville Parker Ranch. Big warehouse. These guys are waiting. And look for a city-to-city where conductors will be more useful. Security guard we're going to also put on this guy. They're sort of warning me about attacks, but I don't know. Robbery. Uh-oh. Bandits have taken over the Chicago Jackson train and robbed the passengers. Do you want to compensate 400,000 to the victims that traveled? Okay, I guess. Okay, Chicago Jackson. Let's look at our train list. Chicago Jackson. Train robbery. Okay. What we're going to do here is add the security guard there. Just as I was sort of talking about warning that they may be doing, and here it is, they did. Oh, we have an opportunity to bonus for new industry in Colombia. Okay, well, let's look at that idea here. We just spent 400,000, which means we don't have a lot, but that'll be 330,000. Let's look at keeping, and this, if people don't really know, and I don't know how it was in Britain, but in America, eventually there becomes a railroad basic monopoly, but they use the leverage of rail freight costs and other things to put a business, say, out of business or nearly out of business, and then they would sell up, and then the railroad company would buy the business and then use its clout, or reduce, obviously since it's shipping its own goods, reduce the shipping costs and that kind of thing. So they really got monopoly problems, because it wasn't just owning railways, it was owning all kinds of things around them that supported them. Okay, well, if we do a meat industry, we own a ranch over here that could supply them. I don't know, I was thinking the other day, is because we have a diverse audience, both somewhat here watching now, but also watching later on, the different, because you can ranch animals and you can farm animals, and they're two very different things, and they can be the same animals. In Europe, basically, I don't know, there may be some areas that you ranch, but mostly in Europe you farm, and in that generally it's on controlled bits of land that the animal will graze, often in places that I've understand in Europe, in which you'll actually grow food in a field for an animal. Could be something like oats, corn, or grass foods. Harvest it and then take it to where the animals are and feed it to the animals. So it could be the same food that humans eat. So you're feeding an animal to then get that fat enough, big enough, and then eating the animal. Where ranching is putting the animal, which we do in the American West, is you put the animal out in the wild, cows, sheep, whatever, and they just exist out in the wild on their own, and for the most part live off the land that's out there. So you get down into the Southwest, down where I am, and you get ranches, and some of the ones I've been involved in, they stock the cattle in it, so they need to bring in feed for the cattle, but a good portion of the cattle is fed off of the land. And although there are barbed wire fences around where the cattle are, they're just like anti-cattle fences, in that there are 3, maybe 4 strands of barbed wire. Any sort of predators of any type can go right, just lower themselves down a little bit, not even like crawl under it, just sort of make sure they don't, they avoid the barbed wire. So you're basically you're controlling, in the modern days, you're controlling the cattle from wandering off of your property, but they're sort of out there in the wild and living that way. So I guess sort of in the middle is I don't know if they still do this in the Scottish Highlands, is sort of you have herders that herd sheep or cattle, because I know this in the past in Scotland, to different pastures, and so you have someone that's sort of kind of overwatching the animals, but with sheepdogs and whatnot. But that's somewhat of a somewhere between farming and ranching, but ranching is a bit more of out in the wild. Okay, so here we have meat industry, because we have meat here. We can do cheese, but not everywhere is going to want cheese because we have dairy out here, and we have cottons for cloth. So we have about whatever we want to do. And so let's look around. Rock Island up there, we have that. Was thinking about doing meat until I see meat there. Well, they might want meat there, and meat up in Indianapolis, and well, they have Chicago was a huge meat packing center. That also, if you look at watch all the whether it's the John Wayne or other movies in which they're going to Dodge City, Colonel Dodge, after the American Civil War, brings the railway out there, and so they drive the cattle up from Texas, and there is the reason they're driving it up from Texas to up to Kansas and other northernly railway stops is because there are no rail connections between Texas and, say, the northeast of America. And so bringing the cattle sort of across Texas and getting it over there, and various elements from the end of the Civil War, including destructions of railways, including Union carpetbaggers in the post-Civil War era, buying up things and messing with the southern system, that cattle was overly plentiful in Texas. Basically, there was, because they're ranching it and they don't yet have barbed wire at the end of the Civil War. It's, I don't know the exact date that they really start getting into barbed wire, but most of the sort of famous ranching days, yeah, someone may own big chunks of land, but mostly it's just cattle literally out in the wild. And you're supposed to round up your cattle with your brands on it, and the calves going next to the mothers, and not get that have your brand on it, not get the calves that have other people's, that are next to the mothers with other people's brands on it. You're supposed to. And there's just so much of that beef is, as a meat, is basically free. There's just so much of it down sort of at the, not just purely at 1865 when the Civil War ends, but for years after it. It's just basically beef is like, yeah, it's few dollars for a whole cow, so beef is like, yeah, nothing down in Texas. But where they have the huge need for it is in the American Northeast. Not so much, yes, they wanted it Chicago, but Chicago is where the trains go, that they then slaughter the beef into these sort of things, steaks and other things, and then ship it rapidly from there to where they're going to sell it. This is one thing that a lot of people don't know is the beef that you mostly eat, you don't want it fresh. You have it aged. It can be aged, I think, some places up to a month. So they let it decompose in a cold environment, not in a frozen, because you don't want it frozen. You want it in a cold, refrigerated environment, so it sort of decomposes a little bit. Aged beef is what you want to eat. So get it live to Chicago, slaughter it in Chicago into more easily handled, not like cut into individual steaks, but into chunks that you would be sold to a butcher, and then the butcher would do the final cuts to sell it to the customer. Grind up, you don't want to grind the beef up in Chicago to ship it somewhere else. You would do the less quality big cuts of beef that would be ready for grinding into what would be hamburger or other sort of ground beef type. Hamburgers weren't really a thing yet, but ground beef was a thing at this point. And so that would then be shipped around. So Chicago is a meat packing center, more so after this time, but something of that. So, we also have cotton or cloth here, so we don't want to do another cloth. Do these guys? Okay, let's close this down. This is part of no, they don't until 70,000, so they don't need cheese really. So cheese won't be an export. Yeah, I think since we own a beef thing, we're going to do another beef. this is one of the reasons I want to play these other games than Hearts of Iron, is because I want to talk about other parts and periods in history. Okay, so now this is actually cheaper than our bonus. So, well, before we do that, I want to get a railway in. Station. Let's do a proper station. We're gonna connect this out because we're gonna own it. Just trying to see how we're going to connect. I guess we're going to come in and connect around that loop. So let's throw this in. Let's see if we can connect it up. Oh, we can't go through the cotton. Well, that does sort of make sense. Go around it a bit. Yeah, 60,000. Let's see if we can. No, let's. Okay, there we go. That's a turn radius that will work. Let's cancel that. Let's cancel that. Let's come here. Let's go through that. There we go. That way we have more track to play with. Yeah, we need to come down around here. That's fine. Come here, come across. Here, come up to here, and okay, that looks like all green, so. And did we get this right? Yes, we did. Looks like it. Elegant solution. So I want to double track it. Not that we need to.
I do believe some of the early railway bridges across the Mississippi actually acquired quite a lot of resistance from the steamboat companies because they were worried that their boats would no longer be able to fit under the bridges.
Ah, that would be, yeah. Because these trestle, I don't know if that's what exactly they're called. Are they called trestles or whatever? Yeah. This style bridging looks flimsy, but is actually rather secure. And it seemed to be that mostly they would, if they were built right, because sometimes they were built just in super hurry. Just rush. But if they were built sort of right, they were strong. It's mostly just the eventual rotting of the wood or something that would make them, actually need to be replaced. And they've all been replaced by today. But they were actually quite strong. Now, obviously, like a Mississippi or something, you do have a river current and stability question of, the bank and whatever eroding away. If you get more into the American West with, the Rockies, you get a lot of these over very narrow rivers that are the minor thing. The big thing is the gorge, in between them and keeping it up to a uniform height and that kind of thing. Okay, so we've connected here. Now we're going to see about coming here. Might as well just do that too. And then from here to here. Maybe a little overkill, but there we go. So we're not really interrupting too much current flow. We want to come down here. Yeah, okay. This needs to go north, and this is now a problem. So let's see if we can delete that. No, it's in use currently. Well, it'll not be in use in a moment, I hope. So we have that now for getting our money back, or a good chunk of it at least. Let's come down here, grab a meat industry, and we're going to drop it there. Okay, that got a lot of our money back. And I don't know if we're going to build that just yet. But it should naturally collect some beef just because it's, well, not that much. Okay, so we probably should do that. Just a small train station at the moment. And we'll just go that just to get in there. And we can just do a simple to and from. Back and forth. We're going to do a cheap train. Again, because it doesn't, speed does matter, but I think loading speed and how much it needs is going to easily handle that. Okay, so we've got that. Probably unnecessary for winning the game, but just sort of nice to own a factory, own a ranch, and get that all connected up for profit. And yes, I know we haven't built or put on another train as well. We have the water tower there, but St. Louis, let's use that track to make sure that we're not overclogging up in that one. We will put, this is cheaper. So that's, there we go. What hopefully, yes, is being personnel.
Right, gamer.
Yeah.
If you click on the engine shed icon, just to the right of the tech tree button,
Right.
you can look at all the locomotives you've got unlocked.
Okay. Let's first get the auction, then we can look over that. Done. Make sure we get that. Good. We got creative accounting. Okay, so right. So this is our Rensselaer. Okay, rotate. It rotates around on its. I did notice in this game that they don't have a what would this be called?
The thing it's sat on would be called a turntable.
Turntable, okay. And
yeah.
that they would use to reorient engines going in different directions. And so we can also look at, oh, that's one we don't have. That's one we do.
Yep.
Okay.
If you click back to the dragon.
Sure.
And you can see it's got several a lot of small wheels essentially,
right.
all connected together. And then if you click forward to the new one,
right,
the newest one you have, the
those big
express
wheels
locomotive, reasonably big, yes, but not huge.
Well, to me that looks huge, but yeah.
Well, I'm still, yeah. You see the really big, the really big driving wheels it's got further towards the back.
Right.
And it's just got the little pony truck up front to steer it.
Right.
Basically, the bigger, generally speaking, with steam locomotives, the bigger the wheels, the faster it goes.
Okay.
Is a rough sort of. If it's got big wheels and less of them, it's meant to go faster. If it's got lots of smaller wheels, then it's meant to go slower and to pull more weight, essentially.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, because now that I think about it, because if you know a bike, that bikes come along a little after this time, but they originally had, a lot of them had really big, the racing bikes, what they call penny farthings, had one really big wheel, and that was directly connected to the pedals to go fast. And so they would race around on these big wheels that they would basically be sitting on, one big wheel that they'd be sitting on top of the small wheel in back. And that's probably with the gearing type system.
That's very much the same that you see with steam locomotives. Is that essentially the bigger the wheel you have, the more distance the more distance the wheel will cover per rotation.
Right.
Which means the more distance you will cover per, in and out of the piston in the cylinder.
Right. Okay, that's great. I never put any of that together. That's great. Thank you. And I can see how that relates, because my parents own one of those big old bikes that's from that period, so I sort of know a little bit about that. But yeah, okay, cool. I didn't think of that, because they don't have on the bikes, they don't have the pedals up front with a chain with a gearing system to handle it. It's a straight. Every time you go around, it's as you pedal it, it's the diameter of the wheel that covers. Okay, that's great. I did not know that was a thing. Okay, they're coming towards a station here with a repair shed. They got one down here, so I just sort of somehow bad condition, don't know. Nothing we can really do about that, because we've done what we need to do, and that's a random breakdown. Either that is possibly our opponent sending down a saboteur, or just the figure.
Is there another water tower between Louisville and the line going south from the western end of it?
No, it's just this one here.
You might want to have another one on the line going south, somewhere towards Nashville.
Right. Okay. We really haven't been doing much with Clark Estate, so we'll just put it somewhere in here-ish, I guess. Separated enough so that it's in enough of a different. Don't quite know the formula for amount of distance within the game that you need to re-water and fuel and oil and whatnot, but there is something. Meaning, if you got a long enough transit, it will require, at least to be optimal, more than one. But at some point, more doesn't help you. I don't know right where that balance is.
Yeah, if they're depending on how close they're modeling it to history, as you progress through to more modern locomotives, the distances they can cover before they need to be refueled increase.
Okay. Yeah. Well, obviously these are great distances, because remember, this is America, not Britain. So between these cities, there would be, I don't know, 20, 100. Between these two cities, water towers. There would be a huge number of them, in comparison to just one or two in this game. No, I think for what this game is as a simulation, I think is great. I mean, obviously you get more of a technical simulation, but this is modeling, at least to me, as a boy railroad enthusiast who had model trains kind of thing, modeling the major aspects of railway, of the steepness of the grades, the needing for maintenance, the needing for water, all of that kind of stuff is all being modeled, I think, pretty well. Is there something you see for this time period that is significant that's lacking in the game?
For this time period, I mean, I'm not too familiar with
Yeah, well,
the
1860s
American
and
side of things.
yeah, well, but I mean, just generally speaking, in the 1860s and before, is there like some technical or aspect to, like, something like water towers or something that's just missing from the game, in the sort of early Steam era?
Not that I can really think of, but oh yes, definitely get the breaks there.
Right, yeah, I got the breaks. Trained personnel, and we're going to go with a station manager, which will streamline work processes at all stations, reducing time taken for dispatching trains by 5%. So yeah, that's worth it, because it's a one-time fee plus ongoing 40. So that's Louisville reaches 90,000 inhabitants. Very good. Yeah, so yeah, to me, as like I say, as an enthusiast, a novice kind of thing, this is just hitting all of the right elements to fulfill my railroad play needs, as it were. Okay, I think we're going to end the episode here. I want to thank you all for watching. Thanks for liking videos. Thanks, IKB, for your commentary. It really adds to the series. Really do appreciate it. And of course, I love to hear from you. You can post comments, questions to me or IKB, who works for Railway, is a true railway enthusiast, so he can probably answer whatever. And if he doesn't read the comments at the YouTube, I'll bring him up some other time to be answered in a future episode. So please post, and of course, subscribe if you haven't. See you next time for more historical gaming.